All right. So here's another episode of printmaking with me. And I hope that you guys get a lot out of this. This is going to be something that we're going to do. It's a little bit low tech. So that way I know that all my friends at home can also do this. Uh, I was a little new to this too. I've never really used some Crayola markers for that, for like the actual inking, but it actually turned out pretty great. I even tried it on regular printer paper and it came out. It's a little fuzzy, but just regular printer paper, as opposed to just a better, higher quality paper like this. Just a thicker construction paper. It just the image came out still pretty strong. Just the construction paper being a little heavier worked a little better. So. But what we're going to be working with today, we got a few things we're going to need. One, we're going to need some markers. Okay, so just regular, just water soluble markers. And then I've got a little container with some water and also a sponge in there. And then I have my image that I'm going to be drawing from. And then I have my paper that I'm going to be using at the end. Okay. So we'll just put that stuff to the side while I get this going here. Now, this is a regular styrofoam tray. And I got these out of the lunchroom. Okay, because a lot of times they get these trays. Sometimes they'll have the dividers in there, which I mean are cool, but I end up using those for sculpture and things. But if you get a regular flat one like this, rinse them off. You don't have to throw them away. They stack them. They're supposed to recycle them, but a lot of the times they get torn up. So I collected a bunch of these, and all I did was I cut out the inside of the tray, which actually created uh, probably in one day of lunches, I got about 40 printing plates out of this. Now, one side's going to have like some writing on it, which is not really going to be something that we're going to need to use. The other side's going to be, it's got some little divots on it, but it's clean. And, that works for us, all right? Let me adjust this just slightly. There we go. So here we go. Now, here's what we're going to do. I've got an image. I kind of came up with just an idea of what I wanted to use. And you just have to remember, if you're looking and you're looking at the image above my head, that hey, that looks backwards. And it is because the printing plate is going to be set on top of the paper. So as you can see, what's going to happen is the printing plate is going to be backwards. Okay. So if you do any writing or anything like that, make sure that you like write it backwards. Okay. Or here's another little trick. Trace over it with Sharpie and then take the whole thing and then place it on top of your printing plate like so. So whenever you're carving into that way when you print it, it'll come out the other way. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Printing plate, styrofoam plate. Got our neat little image here. Going to lay that thing down on top of this styrofoam plate. Now, try to get your image cut out evenly. Mine was a little wonky, but I'm okay with that. It's a little fun. So I'm going to go ahead and place this on top. Flip it over. Let's see how we're looking. Pretty good. Now here's where the fancy part comes in. Use one of these very, very expensive government issue matrix making devices. That's what your printing plate is, a matrix. So this matrix making device, it's just a U.S. government pen. It's just a ballpoint. Any ballpoint pen will work. Not so much for the drawing, just because it's got a good solid stiff tip. If you try to use a Sharpie or something like that, it tends to be soft and it just kind of bends the Sharpie tip more than anything else. So I'm going to go through and trace over this whole thing. Very, very gentle, but I'm still putting enough pressure that it should poke through the paper, not all the way through, but just enough of an indentation that it should make a ridge. And I'm going to go back over the printing plate after, okay? So here we go. Gentle. And if you go off a little bit, that's okay. It just adds a little more interest. Now I'm going to hold this down with my right hand, and I'm going to take a quick little peek. Oh, yep. I got a little bit of an indentation there. I'll have to go back over that whenever I'm finished drawing the basic parts. So we're just going to go ahead and go through the whole thing really quick. I will probably speed this up so that way you could see the end product. Ta-da! All right. Now, some of you might be able to see these lines very, very easily as you're working. I have a little difficulty with it, so I like to go back over them again, maybe with the same pen. That just kind of helps me. It's not, you don't have to if you're really dead set and ready to go. I do this just to reinforce what I've done because I might have gone off and made some weird wonky lines, and that's okay. That's going to happen, but as the more we do this, the better we're going to get with the tools, right? So I'm just going to go through and continue to build up on it. Just go back over the lines, and I'll speed this part up again. All right, so now I've got a really good concept right here of how it's going to look, okay? And I've got a second plate that I did earlier as well that, you can always go back. I sometimes like to do 2 or 3 plates of the same thing. That way, if I want to color them all at the same time, or you could change the colors on here, this stuff actually comes off very, very easily. I'm going to get rid of some of that water right there, and this stuff just wipes clean. That's the old plate. And it'll just wipe the whole plate clean, and I can choose a whole different set of coloring if I wanted to. All right, so I want to jump right in and start doing my printing, okay? But what I've got to make sure of is I get my colors down first. Now, these are my colors here, right? So I don't need to worry about these because these colors are water soluble. So when you start painting on the printing plate, the colors are going to get kind of saturated. I mean, they're going to start getting kind of flattened out. They're not going to look as shiny or bright. Don't worry about it. Whenever we put water on the paper to do the final print, it'll pull those colors right back out. So I'm just going to have a little fun with this, and I'm just going to throw some colors around and just see what I can do. We'll go ahead and speed this part up a little bit as well. Okay, so I've got my printing plate all colored up. I might want to drop a little bit in here. I don't like some of the white showing up, but here's the thing you want to make sure of when you're doing the printing plate. Make sure you're not pressing really hard on that, okay? Because what'll happen is it will make an indention on that. We're trying to keep that as even as possible. And notice how some of this looks just a little off. It's like, well, that just looks kind of sloppy. What's going to happen is the water's going to activate that and really saturate it, kind of soak it in, okay? So I'm going to take my printing plate, put it to the side. Take one of my sheets of paper that I have right over here. I've got a few, because if I was going to make several, I was going to make an edition, meaning several of the same print, I might want to have several sheets of paper ready. All right, so important, have some pretty clean water over here. And all I'm going to do is just gently blot the paper. I'm not going to get it super, super wet, just wet enough that it doesn't it's kind of shiny. Okay, just kind of shiny. We just want it to be wet, and all this is going to do this like the magic. It's where the magic happens. It's going to activate the markers. Oh, look, I've got marker on my finger, so it's bleeding off into my paper. Got to be careful of that too. All right, so here we go. Take my printing plate, gently place it in the middle of my paper because I want it to be all snazzy. Okay, once I touch it down, I don't want to slide it because if I do that, it's going to smear. You might want to experiment on your own with that, but for the first, try to just do it without sliding. All right, sticking it down, pick up a corner, and I'm going to flip it. Gentle, not moving, haven't slid it, it's still stuck to the paper. And now I just gently rub. Rub, 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 rub. There we go, kind of getting it out. And if you can kind of see as I'm rubbing, first off, the ink's coming off my fingers. Oh, and then I'm kind of getting a nice sharp edge over here, like so. Yes, I can't believe I have ink on my fingers. Oh, my print professors. Oh, Mark Peace, Brian Spoolins, Andy Duquesne. I mean, oh my gosh, they would be like, oh, clean your hands first. But that's okay. We're having fun. Get a nice rubbing through. There we go. Oh, you can almost see it starting to bleed through just a little bit. Let's do the reveal. Are you ready? So let me get a good corner. And I'm going to start peeling this up. Look at the intensity of those colors. Move my printing plate to the side and voila! So notice that it's different than the one above because that one's got blue and all that on it. That's okay. You know, we could change the coloring any way we want. If I wanted to, I could do another one pretty quick. Just put that on the drying rack over to the side. I might want to only do part of it. I might say, you know what? I am going to use this violet, but I'm just going to use this part right here. I'm not even going to clean it off. I'm going to do part of a ghost print. That means where it's got kind of like a little transparent kind of image, a little residue from the original ink. That's okay. We're going to do that. Stick you to the side, grab a sheet of my fancy paper here, which again, it's just white construction paper. There's nothing fancy about it. Get my water based on there. Watch my dirty fingers. All I want to do with my water is just get it even all the way across so it'll activate that marker, okay? That's all I'm hoping to do. Take the printing plate, flip it upside down and in the middle of the paper. Don't move it. Just let it stay on there so the printing plate is actually kissing the paper. Here we go. Slide over and flip. Did that nice job. Remember, I didn't ink this whole plate. I did not ink the whole thing. All I did was just ink a few parts. And I'm using the same plate. Didn't even clean it off. I could just wipe the whole plate down with sponge, but I decided not to. Because now I'm going to have some fun with this. Let's see what happens. All right, so now it bled a little. That's okay. That probably means I had a little too much water, you know, but that's okay. I kind of like the way it looks. It's got a little bit of a watercolor feel to it. Let's look at the last one. See, it still had some of the violet marker on there. And instead, I changed this red and this orange, because you saw how they kind of bled together, into green. So it's the same thing. I'm using it over and over again. That's what makes the printing plate so amazing. All right, so I would love to see what you guys come up with. Send me some images or just post something to the comments, all right? And if you like the video, make sure that you just, you know, go right, wait, over here? Is it over here? Wait, no, here? There. I think it's right there. That's the subscribe button. All right, thank you. And hey, let's get creative.